everybody and welcome back. In today's video we're gonna be making this beautiful triangle scarf. We're going to be working mainly with puff stitches and chains to form these shapes. I'm going to use 2.1 millimeters crochet hook, and down below in the description I'll put information about the yarn, and let's get into it. I'm going to start by chaining 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then 1 slip stitch into the first chain. Okay. Now I'm going to pull on the yarn slightly to make the loop bigger, and I'm going to yarn over, going to the chain space, pull up a loop, yarn over, going to the chain space, pull up a loop, 2 more times, then yarn over, pull through all loops on the hook, and chain 1, and we have our first puff. Now chain 2, and then we're going to make 1 puff again into the chain space. The same way, yarn over, going to the chain space, pull up a loop, yarn over, going to the chain space, pull up a loop, 2 more times the same steps, then yarn over, pull through all loops except the last one, yarn over, pull through the remaining 2 loops. Okay, now chain 8, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and I'm going to make 2 more puffs into the same chain space. Yarn over, pull through all loops except the last one, yarn over, pull through both loops, then chain 2 and 1 more puff. Okay, and that's our first row. To start row 2, I'm going to turn and make 1 single crochet into the first chain space. Then I'm going to pull up the yarn to make the loop bigger, and I'm going to make the first puff. The first puff of each row is different than the puffs that comes after it. So first we're pulling the yarn to make enough room for the loops. Then we're yarning over and pulling through all loops on the hook. The difference is with the rest of the puffs is we are pulling through all loops except the 1 loop that is staying at the end. So we've pulled through all loops here and chain 1, then chain 2 more, and now we're going to make the second puff, and you'll see the differences between the first puff of each row and the other puffs. Yarn over, going to the chain space, pull up a loop, yarn over, going to chain space, pull up a loop, then 2 more times. The number of the loops is the same in each puff, there's no difference there. Now we're going to yarn over and pull through all loops except the last one here. Then yarn over, pull through the 2 loops. And that is the differences here. Now we're going to chain 9 this time. Here we chained 8, now we are increasing slightly to 9. 4, 5, 6, 8, 9, and we're going directly into this chain space at the end to make again 1 puff, chain 2 and one more. Row 3 is pretty much the same as row 2. I'm going to turn again and make one single crochet into the chain space, pull up the loop and make the first puff. Now chain 2 and the second. Okay, and now I'm going to chain 10 instead of 9 as I did the previous row. And I'm going between the next puffs to make again one puff, chain 2 and one more. Row 4, I'm going to start the same way, turn and one single crochet into the chain space, and then I'm going to make the 2 puffs. Now that I have my 2 puffs, I'm not going to chain here as the previous rows. I'm going to chain only 8 and then I'm going to make 2 more puffs into the same chain space here. One, chain 2, and 2, and now I'm going to chain 11 to continue the increase in this area. Now I'm going to do the absolutely the same on the other side. I have the first 2 puffs. Now chain 8, and 2 more again into the same chain space. To start row 4, I'm going to turn again and and make one single crochet into the first chain space. I'm going to pull up the loop and make the first couple of puffs. And now we're going to continue with the increase of the chain here. We had 8 chains in the previous row, and I'm going to make 9. Basically, this is the same chain as the one here. And then continuing with the next 2 puffs. Now, instead of increasing again and chaining 12, I'm going to chain only 4. And I'm going to make one single crochet around all of these chains. And then chain 4. Okay, when you feel the need to arrange them a little bit, you can do that, so the chain 1 will be more centered. Okay, and now we continue as at the beginning with the same group of puffs. First one, here again chain 9, and 2 more puffs in the last chain space. Row 6, the same. Turn one single crochet in the first chain space, and then the usual first group of puffs. Okay, here we have chain 10. 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, going between the next group of puffs. Okay, now here we don't make chains between these 2 groups. I'm going directly into the next chain space to make another 2 puffs. Okay, and now chain 10 again. Row 7, turn 1 single crochet into the first chain space and then the puffs. Now that I have the first 2 puffs, I'm going to chain 8 and make another 2 into the same into the same chain space like we did here. And then we continue with chain 11. And going into the next chain space. Here we have again chain 8. And 2 more puffs into the next chain space. Now chain 11. And in the last chain space we're going to make again 2 puffs. Two puffs, chain 8, and 2 more. And this is how it's looking so far. Okay guys, basically from now on you have to repeat the last 3 rows that I showed you, row 5, 6 and 7, until you reach the size of your scarf that you want. Each time you have row 7, with the one with the increase, your scarf will change and will get wider and wider, and your rows will get longer. The steps are the same, but in each row you have to repeat them more times. Now I'm going to show you how to finish the project evenly. That's this row you have to make when you're ready, you want to finish. Make sure that your last row is row similar to row 5. I'm going to make row 5 again, and I'll come back to you to show you the finishing row. Okay, I made the row similar to row 5 that I told you about. Here I made the first 2 puffs, then chain 9, the second 2 puffs, then I made chain 4, 1 single crochet around all chains and chain 4 again, and then basically from now on it just repeats. When you finish your project, this row will be much longer. And now that we have this row, it's time to show you the finishing row, which is very easy. I'm going to turn again and make the usual puffs at the beginning. Now I'm going to chain 4. And I'm going to make 2 single crochets around these 2 chains. 1 and 2. And then I'm going to chain 4 again. Okay, here we have another 2 puffs. Then we're going directly into the next chain space between the next 2 puffs. There's no chain between these 2 groups of puffs. Then we're going again to make chain 4, 2 single crochets, including the 2 chains, and then chain 4 again, and repeat the same steps until the end. Okay, this is how it should look at the end. So this way it has a lot more finished look than if you decide to finish it on each of the 3 rows that I showed you before. Okay guys, thank you for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!